Raw review for the November 11th episode of Raw. I'm Will. That's Brandon. We are the Cousins of Destruction Wrestling Podcast. As always, let's cheers. Talk about some wrestling.
Yeah, Grand Rapids, Michigan. We get, I guess, the first of back-to-back Grand Rapids shows.
Yeah.
Since they're taping again this week.
They're taping as we speak. Mm-hmm. But this is a special Veterans Day episode, so happy Veterans Day. Let's get right into it. We got Mr. Gunther starting the show today. He says he does not live in the past. He does not live in the past. What's in front of him is one thing, and that is Damian Priest. There's a lot to say about Damian. And right when he says that, Damian comes out. He ain't waiting to hear what he's got to say about Damian because he's Damian.
Yeah.
Damian comes out to the ring. He says, what are you going to do? Don't look surprised. The whole world knew you were going to do this. It was advertised. I was like, fair point.
I do like how they're starting to do that.
Fair point.
I checked the footage or I checked the socials.
He must be on socials. Yeah, right. But he goes, let me guess what you're about to say about me. I'm street trash. I'm a bum. I'm a thug. My parents didn't care about me. He was basically pulling a B-Rabbit ear. He was just taking all the ammo from Gunther's mouth. I was like, that's a solid move. That's a solid move.
You did call that out right as we saw it. I guess I didn't put two and two together, but yeah.
He goes, I get why that people think that you are an unbeatable killer because I've been in the ring with you. But it was only because of Finn Balor, my previous brother, that I walked out of that match not being champion and you walked out as the champion. And he goes, at least, or after you became champ, guess what happened? Your vibe started to change. You started losing, started doubting yourself. You lost to Cody Rhodes. He pinned you, bro. And Gunther goes, you? And then the whole crowd starts booing. And he kind of looks around. He's stammering. He's stuttering. He's like, the cat's got his tongue. And Damian points out, like, you can't even talk. He's like, you're full of doubt because you know that you cannot beat me. By now, you should have hit me. Normally, you would have hit me. And then Gunther kind of gets that look in his eye, and he's like, what, you want to swing? You want to swing on me? Come on, Gunther. Swing. And when that happens, Ludwig Kaiser comes out. Because if one man's not going to take that trash, it's Ludwig. Ludwig comes out. He's like, no. He goes, hold on. What are we doing here? You're doubting him, meaning Gunther. He goes, should I remind you that Gunther already beat you? He already beat you. He's not scared of you. He goes, you will get yourself beat again this second time. And while he's talking, Gunther rips the mic out of his hand.
Yeah. Puts his hand right over it and starts poking him in the chest.
Yeah, he starts poking him. No. Get out of here. For some reason, even though Ludwig was backing him up. It's a rude move.
I guess he doesn't need nobody to back him up.
And then Ludwig takes the mic back. He's like, no. I will not sit here and listen to him say this stuff about you. I will not hear him do this. And Damian then Ludwig calls him street trash, and Damian gets in his face when he calls him street trash, right? Damian's like, nah, I'm not going to have it. They start to swing on each other. Eventually, Damian Priest does get a nice little clothesline over the ring.
Yeah,
or to the outside of the ring.
I think it's like one punch.
Yeah.
He drops Kaiser, and then Kaiser gets up, and then he gets clotheslined out of the ring.
Yeah, gets out of the ring. But Damian turns around, looks Gunther in the eye. He's like, you know what? You want something? How about you next? And Gunther looks at him, and he smiles, shakes his head, and he gets out of the ring. Gunther does not say anything else. He does not try to fight. This opening segment was great. I am going to pop it, but it does beg the question, is Gunther scared of Mr. Damian Priest?
That's a good question. I would say, yeah. If you look at least the way it went, or maybe I shouldn't say, yes, he's scared of Damian Priest. I would say maybe he's just unsure of himself.
Oh, good point.
At this point. Like you said, it was good stuff. It's nice to see Gunther kind of doubt himself a little bit. I mean, we kind of talked at least pre-Crown Jewel. How do you have two champions go at each other? One of them is going to be on the losing end, and how do you kind of pivot from that? I think this is a good touch. It at least gives Gunther an added dimension, which I wouldn't say he needed, but it's easier to kind of add to Gunther than it is to Cody, in my opinion, at least.
Yeah, I mean, would I say he's scared of him? No, I'm kind of with you. He's unsure. He just lost to Cody. That was after a winning streak, and that leads a little bit of unsurety. But at the same time, he's been seeing Damian Priest take off, right? He's been booked like super Damian Priest, right? So there is reason for his character to believe that this guy has gotten stronger. But this is a great way to book it. I was a little bit worried when Damian won that, like, wow, we just did this feud not long ago. What are they going to change up here? So coming out, having Damian Priest pull the B-Rabbit, throw all the street trash stuff right back at him, and then be like, what do you got? And Gunther have nothing back. That's an interesting dynamic here where it's like, oh, I mean, we all think Gunther's 100% going to win anyways, but at least this is going to get interesting going into Survivor Series, more so than what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, it's interesting. And you said Gunther didn't try to attack. He does, like, when Priest clotheslines Ludwig out, Gunther takes a step.
Yeah.
Like he is going to hit him, and then Priest turns around and stops him. Admittedly, like, the Gunther stuff I think is really important here. I think the biggest takeaway, though, as you said, we think Gunther's going to win this feud. I don't think there's any way Damian wins. I think the bigger takeaway here is Gunther and Ludwig.
Yeah.
That kind of connection there and how Gunther's not here for it.
It's coming, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's coming. And I am so freaking here for that whenever that does come, because that Gunther Ludwig feud is going to be, that's like the feud that the Gunther title reign was kind of built for. Like that's the one that I most look forward to.
Yeah, it's a fair point. The only thing is, there's almost, I guess it is that self-doubt that's having him turn on his, longtime friend, and maybe Kaiser's just like, I'm here just to, give you the prestige. I'm backing you up.
I'm literally helping you.
I'm doing everything you ask.
Just let me help you, bro.
And obviously we had the Sheamus stuff where he's like, you were supposed to take care of that. So every week we kind of get stuff with that. Probably something big at Survivor Series, I would say.
Gonna be big. Anyway, we moved on. Damage Control is getting interviewed before their big time match with the big time players, PFC, baby.
And they're getting interviewed by Kathy Kelly,
which normally means the kiss of death.
I said, oh no.
Yeah, you get interviewed by Kathy Kelly before the match, you know what happens, you lose. But anyway, she interviewed EO and Kyrie, and EO is basically like, yeah, I have a match against Liv, but right now I'm focused on our match against PFC. And Kyrie saying, it's like, yeah, we're gonna beat them. And then Dakota Kai shows up.
Mm-hmm.
She's back after 3 months off, and we were like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Dakota's back.
I mean, if there's one way to overturn the, I guess, Kathy Kelly curse, it's Dakota Kai.
The Dakota Kai. But she basically just says we're going to win, and I'm back. It's been 3 months. PFC cost me my knee 3 months ago, and I want revenge is basically what she said.
Yeah.
So we would get that match, but there was a small little backstage thing that happened between Kofi Kingston and R-Truth before it. So Kofi goes up to R-Truth and apologizes to Truth for not having his back when they ended up having Karrion Kross and them beat him up, right? They didn't back him up, him and Woods. And he was kind of going into the fact that Woods didn't want them to help. And when that happens, Woods gets there in the conversation. They're like, they kind of get into it. But then Butch shows up.
Mm-hmm.
Pete Dunne shows up because he's mad that R-Truth said Butch last week.
Yeah. He just is mad people keep calling him Butch.
Yeah, he's like, what the hell you call me Butch?
It's not his name.
And then
What's
Kofi
that song? That's not my name.
and then Kofi Kingston is like, okay, well, this is kind of his moment to like back Truth up here, right? So he gets in Butch's face, and then Xavier Woods is like, no, this is the problem. You keep caring about random stuff that's not our business. And then Kofi kind of just snaps on everybody. He's like, no, I'm doing this tonight. I want Pete Dunne in a match, and we're doing it. And they agree. So we'll get that match a little bit later.
Yep.
There's some fun times there. But let me toss the Bible around here. Anyway, we get back. And we would have our Damage Control with Dakota Kai versus PFC. At this point, it is a 3v3 match. Mm-hmm. So Dakota Kai is not just back. She's an active competitor.
Yep.
I was excited.
She's back with Damage Control.
Yep.
Which, I mean, I guess how it works kind of all to perfection because they were heels and then now they're faces again. And then Dakota comes back from an injury. Everybody misses Dakota. It's like, perfect.
Fit right back in.
Mm-hmm.
Fit right back in. But anyway, we got EO and Zoe Stark. They will start the match. And they were kind of just showing off. Trying to hit each other, but doing cool moves, acrobatics. They were looking real cool here. But eventually, Io Sky would get the advantage until Sonya Deville gets involved. She kind of does a cheap shot, tags herself in, comes in, starts beating them up. We would get in Io Sky hot tag to Kairi Sane, where Io Sky and Kairi Sane would do what Io Sky and Kairi Sane do. They do a lot of cool moves. They're doing that like double drop kick and all the fun stuff onto Sonya Deville. They are wonderful. But eventually, Baszler would come in, or they'd spill the outside, and Baszler would get involved and stop Kairi Sane from going back in, and she would kind of destroy her going into the commercial break, leading to PFC taking over Kairi Sane during the commercial break. She's getting her butt absolutely whooped until we get back from commercial break, where she gets a hot tag to Miss Dakota Kai, who comes back and she gets some offense in. She does her little scorpion kick. She does a little where she puts him in the middle rope and does a big stomp off the middle rope. She's looking real good. Off the stomp, she gets a 1-2 count. We would have Shayna Baszler then put her in a Boston Crab, which looked pretty brutal here because she was attacking the injured knee of Dakota Kai. But then while she's putting her in the Boston Crab, you have Zoe Stark like in the ring protecting her. And the ref is still focused on the Boston Crab. And I'm like, that's not very fair. If you could do that during every tag match, it'd be pretty easy to win.
Yeah. I mean, I guess smart. The ref's not going to stop you.
Like Zoe Stark's in the ring, like boxing out Shayna Baszler doing the Boston Crab with Dakota Kai. And I'm like, what they doing? What are the rules?
Yeah. I saw this and I had to second guess myself. I was like, wait a second. I was like, can you just do this? I was like, because why wouldn't you do it every time?
Eventually, Io would get in the ring and take out Zoe Stark. But then she'd kind of get involved with Sonya Deville, and Zoe Stark would get back up, do her patented springboard missile drop kick that we all love so much to Io. But then Baszler would put a sleeper on Dakota Kai and kind of back her into the corner where Io would reach over, tag herself in, but then Baszler would immediately put a sleeper on Io.
Yeah.
I was like, damn. But then Kairi Sane would get the save here. She drop kicked Sonya on the outside as well. We get Io Sky climbing to the top over the moonsault, hits it on Shayna Baszler. 1, 2, 3 damage control, gets the win here. Dakota Kai's back. We got some fun stuff in the ring with damage control just overall. PFC lost again. Shocker. But I think that just having Dakota Kai back and the match over, they gave it time. This is good. I'm going to pop it.
Yeah. I'm going to pop this, and not by much.
Yeah, I agree.
It's the return of Dakota Kai.
Yeah.
Dakota Kai comes out at the end and she gets those, whatever that high boot's called. I can't remember.
Yeah.
And she kind of leads Io to the win. She looked good here. She didn't get a ton overwhelming like showcase because everybody obviously can know what she can do. PFC, I think you called them pretty forgettable characters or something.
Yep.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, that's pretty much where we're at. As happy as I am to see Dakota Kai, obviously Dakota Kai and Kairi Sane can kind of be that tag team while Io goes and does the single stuff, or maybe you get a Dakota Kai turn eventually. But I mean, PFC is just PFC. It's bad. It's real bad.
Real bad. Okay.
There's not much else to add.
No.
I mean, even the Shayna stuff, like you have Shayna doing the holds that Shayna likes to do that people are like, if she was over, this would be really good, but they're not,
PFC is already a failed experiment. And it makes no sense because like you split the three up like logically and you break down their like actual careers outside of WWE and you feel like it should just be easy to book them because they're all legit badasses. Yeah. Yet you put them into this group, have them lose all the freaking time, yet they still talk trash without any backbone to back it up. They look like idiots. And it's just like, well, it's already time to just implode this group, have them go off screen till the Rumble, reintroduce all three of them in a different way, and go on from there.
Yeah. Have them come back as CFP, I guess. I don't know.
That was terrible.
Well, I mean, they're just going to repackage them, you know what I mean? But yeah, Dakota Kai's back. Can't be happier. And it's kind of the main takeaway.
Amen.
At this point, I think you pointed that out. We're like 35 minutes into the show.
Yeah.
Like 40 minutes. I was like, oh man, okay.
We're gonna move it on. We're not gonna go into we're gonna wait till the end to talk about just this overall storyline. But we would have Sammy and Jay and Jimmy backstage after their reunion on SmackDown Friday, their official reuniting. Sammy and Jimmy still not on the same page, really. Jay's like, no, we're all on the same page now. Everybody chill, we're cool. And they try to compliment each other, but they can't.
Yeah, Sammy compliments Jimmy. Jimmy just can't do it.
Jimmy's like, yeah, I like, and he says nothing. But they're here on the Raw brand for one reason, and that's to find their 5th member for the Bloodline Civil War match. And that was a through line throughout the night that got pretty fun. And yeah.
Yeah, and I don't want to go too in-depth because obviously we'll do it at the end, but it is important. You did say 5th member. That was not announced anywhere that I saw. It was just on TV, just in kind of like a passing conversation, just like a backstage, like, oh yeah, we need to find a 5th member. And it's like, oh wait, what?
Yeah.
It's not 4v4?
Yeah.
So 5v5, here we go.
Yeah, it's crazy. Anyway, we would get that Kofi Kingston and Pete Dunne / Butch match. Obviously, Xavier Woods was on the outside of the ring watching the whole time, and he was kind of being a bratty little kid who just had his arms crossed and was mad that he was there. But Butch would come out absolutely hot because the whole crowd was chanting Butch, and he was mad. He came out with his elbows, but Kofi Kingston was also there to prove a point. He could do this stuff on his own. He was doing all of his normal stuff. He'd get a diving suicide dive over the top rope flip. We'd go into commercial break, and Mr. Butch would be on top of him doing all the joint manipulation to his fingers, to his hand, to his wrist. Even got him by the jaw at one point, and I was like, damn, you're letting that man stick his fingers down your throat. That is a tough Monday night. But we would get another Kofi Kingston come back, and he would do a frog splash to a standing Butch. That was pretty cool, to the back.
Yeah, to the back.
That was nice. Then all the fun stuff would happen. We would get a big elbow by Pete Dunne, but then Kofi would come right back with a Trouble in Paradise, and when he did the Trouble in Paradise, Butch rolled out of the ring. When Butch rolled out of the ring, the ref checked on Kofi for some reason, and that gave Xavier Woods enough time to give Pete Dunne a nice old super kick to the chin.
Was it super kick or clothesline?
I thought it was a super kick.
Either way.
He hit him.
He takes him out.
Yeah.
Bow.
And when he took him out, Kofi Kingston was pissed because the whole point of this was to do the job himself. And he had a goal and he wanted to accomplish it tonight. So he starts getting in Woods' face, and Woods is like, focus on the match. Focus on yourself. It doesn't matter what I did. Focus on your goal. You had a goal. Achieve it. And then while they were yelling at each other, Butch had enough time to roll back in the ring and stand his ass up. So when Kofi gets back in the ring, guess who's ready for a move? Butch. He beats up Kofi Kingston real quick. He hits his finisher on it and hits the 1, 2, 3. Butch gets the win over Kofi Kingston, and Woods grabs him and starts walking him up the stage. And Kofi starts to be like, "What are we doing, man? What happened?" Because he's in Daze Land. And Woods is like, "What happened? I told you so. I told you what would happen." When Kofi heard, "I told you so," big old shove to Xavier Woods. They start screaming at each other. Woods just keeps yelling, "I told you so. I told you so. So you need to be focused. You're focused on everyone except us. Please focus." And they start screaming at each other as they leave the ramp. This is good stuff. The match itself was fine. I like Butch is great in the ring. Mm-hmm. Like every time he's in the ring, whether you give him 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 15 minutes, like just his little stuff, he's incredible. Mm-hmm. And they really need to figure that out. But I do like we are starting to get some like physical contact and actual yelling from Kofi and Xavier Woods. Like we're this close at this point. So I'll give it the benefit of the doubt here. I'll pop it.
Yeah, as I said in the opening match for me, it was a pop, not by much. This one for me is going to be a drop, but not by much.
Got it.
You could really go either way. Yeah. For me on this one. It wasn't anything like, it's going to sound weird when I say I drop it, but I don't have a problem. I see why you pop it. I understand. Yeah. The only thing for me is we talk about storylines every week, like 2 hours. There's some storylines that aren't going to be there, are going to be there. How do you handle it? This one's pretty frequently on TV, almost every week.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm just like, okay, can we get there? If you had maybe it scattered once every other week or maybe once every 3 weeks and you had little nuggets here and there, I'd probably be more invested. But for me right now, I'm just like, okay, we're there. We see the tension. We see Woods is, clear as day. Woods would never, as part of the New Day, as part of the happy-go-lucky New Day, he would never just attack somebody on the outside for no reason, you know? So for me, it's like, okay, let's just get there. Let's just get some sort of, maybe next time they yell at each other, maybe there's some sort of shove or a punch or something, and really just kind of set that off.
Yeah, I know I should have the date written down, but they're doing the New Day celebration episode.
I tried to find the day, and
it's within the next few weeks. There's a New Day like 10-year anniversary celebration episode. Mm-hmm. That's when the turn will come. Yeah. So knowing that is coming, this stuff is fine with me. This is as close as we're gonna get without an actual turn. So I was like, okay, I'll take it.
Yeah, yeah, and like you said, we all know that's going to happen. Yeah. For me, it's just like, okay, maybe throw something else out there, right, and we can get that eventually whenever. I
get you. We would go backstage. Judgment Day's got a little area in the back again. They're playing 2K.
Playing 2K again.
Yeah. Carlito
and JD, that's all they do.
JD's a champion. All he does is go to
play 2K. That's all they do.
Play 2K. How do I get that job? Anyway, Finn's pissed. Finn is pissed about last week and Dom not winning that what was it, a fatal 4-way match? Mm-hmm. Yeah. He starts yelling. He goes, after last week, Dom or Damian is back in the title match. Dom, I thought you were supposed to win that. And Dom was like, well, I mean, yeah, but where were you? Like, why didn't you come help me? And Finn was like, well, I was listening to what Liv told me to do and what you said you could do. You said you could beat Damian by yourself. And Dom responds by saying, whoa, don't get an attitude with me, man. You're just mad because I beat Damian Priest when you couldn't. And I got closer to a world championship than you've been in a long, long time. When that happens, they start shoving. They start shoving, spitting on each other. I mean, they were getting all up in each other's face until Liv and Raquel and everybody back them up. And to calm everybody down, we're family. And that's when Finn's like, you know what? Yeah, we're right. You are family. And family has each other's back. So how about Carlito and Dom next week? They go up against the War Raiders to weaken them before me and JD have to fight them for the championships. And Dom, being the grown, mature man Dominic Mysterio is, he agrees. And he says, you know what? That's okay. Yeah, I agree. That's what family should do. I'll go talk to Adam Pearce about getting that match. But, I mean, it is as clear as ever. We're getting ourselves a Dom and Finn feud coming up real soon. Judgment Day is cracking.
Yeah, they're cracking, and it almost seems like it's going to implode at any second, you know?
Yeah.
I thought it was important to note, or maybe I'm reading too much into it because that's just what I love to do. Finn says, I just did what Liv told me to do.
Yep.
I thought it was also very important at the end. Dom and Carlito go to leave, and you have Raquel, Liv, JD, and Finn there. And Finn talks about like something along the lines of like family, blah, 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 blah. And then they all like smile and they're all just very, very happy together, the four of them. I thought maybe with how Finn treated Dom, Liv would maybe take a little bit more of an exception to that. Like I said, I probably just reading too much into it, but I was like, okay, that's interesting. We've talked for months now at this point. Maybe Finn and Liv are working together. Maybe this was like the first little bit that we see.
Man, I'm excited as hell for a Dom Finn feud because not only will that match be great, I just think that both guys, I mean, Dom is so hot right now as a heel that would just be perfect. And you got to get Finn back into a relevant scene. I know he's a champion, but who cares, right? But more importantly, to me, I don't want Finn and Liv to break off, man. I want Liv and Dom to stay together for as long, like till Mania.
Yep.
They have that sort of chemistry in the ring together. They draw that sort of heat. So as good as this Finn or as good as this Dom and Finn rivalry that breaks up Judgment Day is going to be, like, just at the end of the day, keep Liv and Dom together, man. Live Dom for life.
Yeah, and I think in terms of short term, so we talk about like next week, I think it would be fantastic. I think somebody had already mentioned it to us. If Dom and Carlito can get the win, I know War Raiders just came back. I get that, but they're still going to be the number one contenders. You could have Dom get the win, or maybe Dom looks really, really impressive. You could have Finn lose those belts, or maybe, Finn doesn't look as impressive. Something like that, to where Dom once again looks more impressive than Finn. I think that's really important. And I agree with you on the Dom and Liv stuff. I don't want that to end. But I also know that if they're going to be butting heads like that, she's going to have to go one way or the other. And I just hope she picks
And
Dom.
she's going to stick with her daddy, Dom.
I hope so.
Anyway, we'd move on. Bronson Reed was coming to the ring to cut a promo.
Yeah.
I was like, damn.
Yeah.
How you doing, big man? Give him a mic. Give him a mic. Let's do this thing. He goes, I'm out here to say Seth is one hell of a competitor. You beat me. But I'm not a competitor. I'm a monster. And last week I took out Priest, I took out Sheamus, and I took out you. And anyone else who gets in my way of you, I will take them out as well. So, Mr. Revolutionary, and he says all of Seth's names. He goes, Mr. Seth freaking Rollins, you want revenge? Well, I'm standing right here, big boy. And when that happens, of course, Seth comes out, and he walks out real slow with this music. And I thought, okay, we're going to get a promo back.
Yeah, he had a mic in his hand.
But he was just waiting for the woes to get in for a minute, because then he sprints to the ring. No, nothing from the mic. Sprints to the ring. They start to fight. Reed headbutts him immediately. They get sent out of the ring. Seth Rollins sends him into the ring post, starts to clear off the announce table, but Reed's able to get like a super kick or something on him, and he throws Seth Rollins onto the table, and he goes up onto the timekeeper's barricade where he normally does that tsunami. But Seth Rollins is like, nah, I've seen this before. Jumps off the announce table, spears Bronson Reed basically into the timekeeper's area. They're beating the hell out of each other. Security's out there now. They break away. They get into the ring. They're beating each other up in the ring. More security. They split each other. Seth is smart, gets out of the ring, runs around the ring, starts beating up Bronson Reed again. Bronson Reed throws him out of the ring. We got a bunch of security and Seth Rollins out there, and Bronson Reed goes for a suicide dive. He's 300 pounds.
Yeah.
Nails it. Just doesn't hit Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins moves.
Mm-hmm.
But Bronson Reed nails a bunch of future champions in the security guard.
One of those guys ate that. I mean, everybody else is kind of on the outside. One guy solidly took that.
Yeah. But when that happens, at that point, Adam Pearce comes out. They start to separate. We go to commercial break. We find out that during the commercial break, they kept fighting, but eventually Adam Pearce and all them got separated. More stuff followed after, but I want to get to this. This is all fun. I absolutely love this.
I think I know where you're going.
But I've seen it.
I've
seen it a lot lately, and this is the thing that we've been talking about with Reed, is that we've loved the Bronson Reed stuff as of late, but we loved it because it felt like they were kind of putting a new twist and spin on the Monster formula a little bit. This felt like they have done what they've expanded on Bronson Reed's formula, and they don't know how to expand on it very much more. So they just do this whole thing again, where it's just security guards and mayhem, and like, I love some good mayhem, but we need some more substance to our rivalry than just absolute pandemonium every single week. So love Bronson Reed. I'm still very hyped about him, but because of the repetitiveness of this happening, I'm going to drop it.
Well, they do have a match next week on Raw.
Yep.
To I guess once and for all solve things, but it's number 2. I'll tell you, maybe I'm going to drop it as well. I'm not going to drop it for the same reason of the repetitiveness. I'm going to drop it because I think this would have still worked doing the same thing if Bronson Reed had beaten Seth Rollins. If Bronson Reed had came out tonight and, you know, he gloats and he's like, yeah, I'm the monster. I kept you down at Crown Jewel. You can't beat me. I got you here. What are you going to do about it? And then Seth comes out. You could do everything else the same, and it would have hit better.
That's a phenomenal point. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Why Bronson Reed screwed Seth Rollins out of the championship, number 1 contender last week. That's why this is still going. Fine, that works. But I agree. If he would have been able to just come out and be like, I beat you. You know what? I'm not done with you anyways. Like, I'm just going to keep beating you or something like that. That would have been really interesting. So I completely agree. That's a really good take.
Yeah.
I like that.
I have them every once in a while. Not very often. And like I said, you could do the same thing. But it just does feel like the same thing. And it's like, okay, if WWE looks at it, you could have done that if Bronson Reed gets the win, but obviously he doesn't. So to your point, change the repetitiveness.
Yep.
So it's either you could have had it one way or the other. You can't have it, same
So
thing.
we continue with Adam Pearce yelling at Rollins. Rollins demanded a match, and next week we are going to get that match. But part 2 of our Bloodline stuff pops up. Mr. Sami Zayn enters the frame. Sami Zayn enters the frame with Mr. Seth freaking Rollins.
Yes.
Guy who's been feuding with Roman for a decade.
Yeah. We were there in their last singles match.
We were. And Sami walks in, he goes, hear me out. We need a 5th guy at War Games. Look, I know you have history, and I know you hate it. No one hates Roman more than Seth Rollins. But to be real, though, I'm with them because that family part never truly goes away once you're family with them. And as much as you hate Roman, I know that you two are brothers. Somewhere deep down, you have that family bond. And you and Roman are still brothers. That family bond never goes away. Please hear me out. I think there is no one else. I think you are our 5th man. And Seth Rollins goes, I think you're out of your damn mind. And I was like, thank the Lord, man.
Yeah.
After everything I've done to try to tear him down, no way am I going to team with him. And you know what? I'm shocked that anybody would team with him, especially you. He is using you, man. Thank you, but no. He walks away.
And when he does say that, I think it is important to note that he is telling Sami, like, I don't know why you're teaming with him. He's going to turn on you. And Sami gets this look. Like, he was kind of hopeful, obviously, when he was asking Seth. And then you have Sami do this. He has this facial expression of like, yeah, maybe Seth is right. Maybe Roman is going to turn on me.
Planting the seeds. Planting the seeds. More on that later, though. We would get Damian Priest taking on Mr. Ludwig. And this was a good match. Ludwig would have he would dominate most of it. He'd come out absolutely swinging. He'd throw Damian into the post, followed up with a drop kick further into the post, like send him back into it. He would do his good old Kaiser roll.
Yeah.
Good old stuff there. But he was
Mhm.
beating Priest up during the commercial break and everything. We got back, and Priest has to do Priest. So Ludwig would go for a suplex, but Damian would reverse it into a broken arrow.
Mhm.
And then he would do his kicks, his corner splashes, all the good stuff that Damian Priest does. Kaiser would eventually come back with a good old-fashioned chop, and when he chopped him, it's Hulk Hogan, brother. It's Damian Hogan. He was Hogan it up.
What's better, Damian Hogan or Hulk Priest?
I don't know, man. Damian Hogan.
I kind of like Hulk Priest.
Hulk Priest.
It just sounds weird, but I kind of like it.
Hulk Priest. You know what? I'm with you. He would after so he'd chop him. Priest would Hulk up, but Kaiser would actually try to roll him up and try to get the 3. But Damian Priest would obviously kick out of that. Damian would have a comeback that didn't have any more spice to it. Damian comeback, South of Heaven, 1, 2, 3, gets the win over Ludwig. Gunther does come out. They just have a good old-fashioned stare down here. I did like this because Gunther was given so much offense. Like I feared
Kaiser?
Yeah, Ludwig.
Oh, I thought you said Gunther. Okay,
No, Ludwig got so much offense here. I do like that. Like
I
he
gotcha.
actually looked very competent against Damian Priest here.
Yeah.
Obviously, Damian was going to win, so it was expected. But I like what they did with Ludwig here. I'm giving this a pop.
Yeah, and even at the end, you have, I guess I'll talk about that before I go into the match thing. Gunther comes out, and he does look very hesitant once again, so that's nice to see. In terms of the match, I'm going to pop this.
Nice.
I definitely, like you said, I was a little hesitant, a little nervous because admittedly, I've been more over Priest than you have. I've kind of like, God, we're doing this again. But it was really important that Kaiser got a lot of offense in. If you had Damian just go out there and squash Kaiser in like 2 minutes, I would have been like, this is terrible.
I was scared shitless of that.
But the way they did it was really good. Enjoyed it.
Yeah, I was definitely thinking he was going to come get squashed in like 60 seconds, and I was going to be like, damn it.
Yeah, and they're slowly, like, tonight, at least for me, as somebody that's been out on Priest and really fatigued, they're kind of slowly getting me to reel back in a little bit. I'm still a little bit over it. Like, God, this guy's so heavily booked. But tonight was a good step in the right direction, I thought.
What's interesting about Priest right now is that we know Gunther's probably going to win. Mm-hmm. So that makes it more interesting than just like Damian going on his overbooked, Super Cena run against the Judgment Day. Like we know that as good as Damian Priest looks right now, he's probably going to lose in a couple weeks to Gunther, and that makes it interesting.
Yeah, due to some sort of Finn, presumably.
Yeah. So we would move on to Mr. Braun Breakker. They had a recap. We did not watch it. I apologize, but I guess Braun Breakker and Mr. Sheamus had a speed match. They were in the tournament for the speed championship on Twitter.
I don't know if many people watch that. I'm going to defend us. If they made speed more relevant, I'd watch it.
Or just told me more often. Like just point it out.
Those two guys, I mean, those are 2 stars.
Yeah.
I don't know who you usually have out on speed, but be like, hey, these 2 are going to go at it. Speed. Yeah. Okay, I'll give you 5 minutes.
Right. So anyway, their match ended in a draw, and then afterward, the things got real chippy, and they started beating the hell out of each other. So Braun Breakker was pissed about it because he said he's young, and he wants to be the greatest of all time, and he wants that trophy case to expand. And a speed championship, well, that's another trophy for the trophy case.
Yeah, he did say because he is the fastest wrestler. He runs the ropes the fastest, so that title piques his interest. I said, exactly. You know what? I kind of like that.
Exactly. And he says it's all because of Sheamus. And when he says that, he called Sheamus like an old...
He called him like...
An ugly idiot bonehead.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah,
ugly idiot bonehead. Yeah. And Sheamus walked up and he goes, "So I'm an ugly idiot bonehead."
Yeah, couldn't help but hear you from over there.
I was right there behind the cam. The hell, you didn't see me?
Reminds me of like SmackDown vs. Raw. Like was that 2011 or whatever? You walk in the back and you hear people talking.
Yeah,
cutting promo just like that.
Anyway, he goes, "That's disrespectful." I get it, champ. I was you at one point. I was cocky. I pinned John Cena with my foot on his chest. It was arrogance. He goes, "You remind me of me. But guess what? You don't have the balls to face me next week and defend that title."
Yeah, he said you got a set of tires.
I forgot what he said. I couldn't write it down fast.
Something about you got the set of tires to face me or something.
And Braun's like, "Yeah, fella, I'll fight you, and I'm gonna knock your old ass out." Mm-hmm. And Sheamus basically says, watch your mouth, kid. I'll be there next week. And he walks away. But when he walked away, Mr. Jimmy Uso walks into frame, and he goes, "You got a second?" And Braun his demeanor goes from cocky to interested. And he just goes, "Yeah, I got a second." Fade to black. One more thing before we get into that conversation. All right.
Okay.
But we would go on with The Miz. The Miz in the Final Testament. Miz is alive. Wyatt's have let him go.
Yes.
And because of that, The Miz has changed his way. In fact, he's walking Adam Pearce's office to request a leave of absence. He wants a leave of absence. He says that he's repented. He was changed his way. He's a new man now, and the Wyatt Six let him go because of it. And Karrion Kross is mad. He's like, no, I told you to go get the Wyatt Six, bring them to me. Did Paul Ellering, was he able to repent? No, he's out of action for a long time. And guess what? I told you if you didn't bring me the Wyatt Six, I'm going to break your legs.
Yeah.
So he's like, sick of boys. And AOP jumps on him. Yeah. And instead of beating him up backstage, they drag him out to the ring. Mm-hmm. And on the way to the ring, someone must have gotten Miz in the eye because his eye started gushing blood.
Like the outside of the eye, too.
Someone must have
that hurt.
Give him a good poke. But Kross grabs a mic. And he starts going, you are lying to me. Where are the Wyatts? I want the Wyatts. Lights go out. And I'm like, thank the Lord. When's the last time we seen the Wyatt Six, man? And when the lights come back up, all the Wyatt Six are on the apron. All the Wyatt Six on the apron. Miz falls backwards into the corner, because he's shaking. He's
like out of the ring at this point.
Yeah, he's
because it's 5-on-4.
Yeah. Wyatt Six into the ring, and they start to slowly move toward each other, staring each other down until Miz with a chair. He hits Eric Rowan right in the back.
Yeah.
Right in the back. He's slimy Miz, man. He didn't repent for shit. He's the Miz. He's awesome. But they start attacking. Everybody starts attacking. Scarlett throws Nikki Cross out of the ring. AOP has no problem with Dexter Loomis and Gacy.
Yeah. And they had them powerbomb and they smacked their backs against each other. And then I was like, oh, okay.
Karrion Kross is beating the hell out of Uncle Howdy in the corner. The Miz is just chair shots galore to Eric Rowan's back.
Yeah.
And eventually the Miz is able to hit a skull crushing finale on Howdy. And then they pick him up and Karrion Kross hits his finisher on Howdy. They get out of the ring. Karrion Kross, The Miz, and the Final Testament handle the Wyatt Six. We get a good old-fashioned Miz heel turn. This might be the stuff that gets us interested in Karrion Kross and them, man. I liked all this. I'm popping it.
Yeah, and you have Howdy laughing, kind of.
Yeah.
After Rowan gets hit with the chair the first time, Howdy starts laughing. You end the segment. Howdy's still out. Everybody's laid out. And Howdy's just laughing. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, I'm going to pop this. It's really tough for me to sit there for Final Testament to feel some sort of interest, I guess. Every time Karrion Kross seems to get a push, it seems to kind of fall flat. Whether that's his doing or somebody else's, who knows. But AOP specifically, I mean, they're just kind of there. They're just the body guys, right? But Miz being in this is the key.
Yeah.
I think it's really important that you have Miz and Kross work together. I think it's important that everything we've seen, at least, well, Howdy said that they were going after the Miz, right? That was their target, and they kind of obviously have history. So if you have, it's going to sound weird, but Kross be the second into the Miz, like he's the Miz's sidekick, I think that would work really well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just excited because they've been trying to figure out what the hell Karrion Kross is going to be doing forever. I think the Miz is going to have like a rub-off effect in the way that, like a mini version of like what Paul Heyman can do for guys, where he can just, wherever Paul Heyman is, the guy attached to him is going to, get a push in the card and be looked at in a brighter light. The Miz as a heel is freaking amazing. And now you have Wyatt Six are now the guy is getting beat up, which is a very interesting concept. AOP is very believably bigger than these guys. Karrion Kross, big dude. Miz is smart. Scarlett has, hopefully we get to see her in the ring. So this is all interesting. I'm looking forward to a Wyatt Six, Karrion Kross, Final Testament rivalry here.
Well, and you said it too when both factions were squared up against each other. Scarlett towers over Nikki Cross. I mean, Nikki Cross is very small.
Yeah.
So that was a good visual. I mean, obviously Scarlett's never been great in the ring. We haven't really even seen her in the ring, but I thought that was important.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, Miz can do no wrong, basically, in my book. I mean, Miz is probably like, the second best heel out of the last 2 decades. You could argue that, but it's like Orton and the Miz for me.
I love the Miz. So, Roman.
Yeah, but that's he's not heel. You know what I mean? Like he's a heel.
Yeah.
But he's not like, you son of a bitch, I'm gonna get you know.
Yeah.
I don't know why I just did that voice, but that's what I did.
Fair enough. Speaking of Roman Reigns, we would get the last part of our Bloodline segment for the night. So Seth Rollins is walking out of the arena. Don't know why. They got a double tape Raw tonight. He's gonna turn around and go right back in there.
I don't think he has anything next week. I mean,
we'll see.
They do some Bronson Reed pull apart again.
No, he has the Bronson Reed match.
Oh yeah, right. Well, they can't tell people it's they can't tell. You got to do this.
Well,
shot.
he's walking out for his fake end into the night when Solo and Jacob Fatu, who he's in the black Escalade with Tama Tonga and Tongaloa, they're all chilling, waiting for him. And Solo's like, "Look, man, it's pretty simple. You hate Roman. I hate Roman. We need a fifth member in the War Games match. This makes sense. How about you join me?" Yeah. And Seth Rollins goes, "I didn't tell Sami this earlier, but I'm not going to team with Roman because the next time I'm in a ring with him, I'm going to stomp his face into the ground as hard as I can. I will never be caught in my life being a teammate of Roman Reigns again. But more importantly, I'm sure as hell not going to be a teammate of a wannabe Roman Reigns either." And he looks at Solo, and Jacob Fatu is like, "Oh, I'm going to kill this man." But Seth Rollins walks off. That's it for the Bloodline recruiting fifth member. So at the end of this episode, you have a failed recruitment of Seth Rollins. You have Jimmy, who is talking to Braun Breaker, maybe. So what in the world? Who in the world is the Bloodline going to get as their fifth member?
Yeah, it's when we watched this live, I told you I really like this idea. You have, and Jay was talking to Ray backstage at one point. So when Bronson Reed, I think, was walking out. So it's like you have each person trying to go after somebody. Who's it going to be? Who's it going to be? Really like that idea.
Yeah.
Even with Jimmy sitting there, like Jimmy asked Braun Breaker, who wouldn't get along with Jay or Sami. I thought that was a nice little tidbit as well. As for who the fifth member is going to be, I mean, I feel like it's just going to be Cody Rhodes. I would say, unfortunately, I think that if we get Cody Rhodes on Original Bloodline and we get Kevin Owens on Bloodline 2.0, which probably looks to maybe be the case, I'm going to be a little bit upset.
Yeah.
Because I think if that's the case, you should have just done 4v4 and then have Cody and Kevin just fight in their own singles thing.
Yeah, 100%. If it ends up being Cody Kevin, which I would assume is the betting favorite at this point, disappointed as hell. Let this be 4v4 if anything. But considering the guys they tried to recruit tonight, so you had Braun Breaker, you had Seth Rollins, Seth flat out said no for the right reasons. Thank God on that one. Braun Breaker could be interesting, but kind of makes no sense because Sami hates him, Jay hates him, and then Jay in the background was talking to Ray. Would that be fun? Sure, but is he even part of a Bloodline match? No. I personally, if it's not Cody, say it's not. I have no clue, man. I have no idea unless you just start introducing some new guys to the frame. Maybe Bloodline 2.0 gets a fifth, but the Bloodline OG just can't find one. And so there's a numbers game there. But this idea and this storyline of Bloodline 2.0 and Bloodline OG fighting over a fifth member, fighting over trying to get guys is very interesting, and I'm down for it.
Yeah, it's a very creative way to get that interest up. Yeah, like you said, maybe that is the case. They get 5 and they only have 4. Who knows? I mean, maybe if that's the case, you got 5 on 4, and then all of a sudden Paul Heyman gets his own music at Survivor Series, and he comes out there. Who knows?
Rhea Ripley.
But no, because she would just take down both bloodlines.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
She stacks all 9 other people pins.
Anyway, speaking of Rhea Ripley and women's stuff, we got the women's tag team championships going on last year.
I think that was a good transition.
It was a phenomenal transition. We have Liv and Raquel taking on Jade and Bianca for those tag team championship belts, and they're going on last, so I was a little bit interested until I looked at my watch. And there was 9 minutes left in the show. That Jade didn't even get her entrance. Jade got a second of posing Bianca's music hits. Yeah, so it was that. Bianca and Liv would start, and Bianca would immediately ground pound her, beating the holy hell out of her, until Liv would send her to the post, follow up with some stomps. Bianca would go for a top rope move, but Raquel would come over and kind of mess with her, and that would leave Liv to be able to get a power bomb on her. So good stuff there. We would get our Jade and Raquel matchup happening. They would fight on the outside first, and when this happened, Liv would come to help Miss Raquel. Bianca would pop out, try to punch Liv. Liv would move, and Bianca came about an inch away from hitting Jade. So slowly, we're getting there. getting there to that matchup. Just little stuff here and there, but we would get a bunch of commercials. We'd come back and Jade would get the hot tag. She'd be facing Liv. She'd hit her with a spine buster, and then Raquel would run into the ring. She would power slam Raquel. I was like, damn, Raquel can't do anything. She'd hit that. Jade with this new move that she was doing on social media. She posted about. She did it to Jade. It looked a little but when she eventually cleans that up, gonna be a really cool move. I don't even know how to describe it. It looks like a...
Well, it almost looks like it's the same... I think it's the same ending, where it's like the Beth Phoenix thing, but I think it's just like a... I don't know, like a variation where she swings them around.
It's weird. It's like an F5 into it almost.
Mm-hmm.
It is cool. It is cool. But Raquel would break the pin when all the fun stuff would happen. So Raquel and Jade are both they both are in the ring. They take each other out with 2 high boots, Undertaker Kane style almost. Tiff and Nia would come out.
Yeah.
Because, of course, Tiff would distract the ref. Nia would pull Jade out of the ring and do a Samoan drop onto the apron, which makes no sense at the end of the day because it's like this far away from the apron.
She put it on the shoulders and said, you go back in the ring.
Yeah, really. I mean, that's what it looked like. But Raquel would then take advantage of this. She would do her like Tijuana bomb or whatever it's called to Jade. 1-2, broken up by Bianca. Tiff would distract the ref again because he didn't learn his lesson the first time. But Naomi would run out. She'd get involved. I'm like, did the brand turn blue? I watched this Friday. But
shit, they got everybody. When they do these double tapings,
it was the same thing.
They do these double tapings, man. They got everybody from everywhere.
It was the same thing. So Naomi pulls Tiff off the apron. Liv comes out to try to get involved to save Tiff for some reason. And when that happens, Io Sky comes out and she's taking out Tiff and she's taking out Liv and she takes out Raquel with some missile drop kicks and everybody's having a good time here.
Yeah, I think she hits Nia too, maybe. I mean, she
took out everybody.
Yeah, she kind of cleans house.
But Liv would get a tag in. Jade would do a big old kick to Liv and Raquel, tag in Bianca. Bianca would hit a KOD onto Liv. 1, 2, 3 there. Jade and Bianca would win, but Nia would attack at the end. She would kind of take out everybody, all the good people, until Io would come out and hit a missile drop kick on her because Nia took out Naomi, Jade, and Bianca. Io was still left. She missile drop kicks Nia Jax, and that leads everybody to basically 4-on-1 Nia. They take out Nia, they take out Liv again, but Jade, Bianca, Naomi, and Io stand tall here. This felt like SmackDown 2.0 from last week, basically. I am going to go ahead and drop it. I get what we're doing here. We're setting up the War Games match, and that's totally okay, but like, damn, if you're going to do it, give them more than 8 minutes. Because this just felt like, what the hell? Okay, what's going on? And why is she here? And they've never had a conversation where they like each other. In fact, Liv and Tiff were just at each other's throats 2 weeks ago or before Crown Jewel because she was coming after Dom. Like, there was a lot here. I'm going to drop it.
Yeah. I think it's important to note, like you said, we know what they're doing. They're setting up for War Games.
Yeah.
We get that. I think it is also important to note Bianca gets a win over Liv.
Yeah.
Pretty clean. I mean, wouldn't say squeaky clean, but it's clean because of, I wouldn't say squeaky because of all the other stuff, right? I'm going to drop this. Like you said, 8-9 minutes, commercials in between. Also go. This person. There's no, we talked about the double tapings. Like, okay, you guys are on SmackDown. The Bloodline stuff, I'll give it a pass. But like Nia and Tiffany are here because they lost to Bianca and Jade, but it's also like, why do you care really? And then Naomi's there and just everybody's there, and it's just a lot to try to like process,
especially because Nia didn't want to be in the match last week anyways. Like, that was her whole thing. So she just fought Liv. So, but what it looks like is we're planning for a Liv, Raquel, Nia, Tiff, Candice versus Naomi, Jade, Bianca, Io, Kairi Sane. War Games match.
Yeah. And I don't know. That's almost another thing too, that it's like, I don't know if I would want both of my women's main card champions battling the tag champions in like Io's a number one contender. I would just rather have Io face Liv separately and Liv not kind of be on that team. But I get why it's penciled in. You know what I mean? I mean,
I'm down for it because it's going to be phenomenal and stuff. But at the same time, it feels like you didn't need to do the whole Nia Liv thing at Crown Jewel before, because that felt like the way to shoe in the whole brands together thing. And now the brands are once again together, and it feels like we just did that. But, at the end of the day, it's going to be 10 of the best women in the business in the ring. War Games is going to be crazy. Tiff's going to be doing crazy stuff. Io and Kairi Sane are going to do something that looks like you're going to die. Like, it's going to be absolutely incredible. So, like, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. It's going to be a lot.
Yeah.
But it'll be good.
Yeah.
And that's the exciting part. But this was a lot in a short amount of time that it's like, okay, let's calm down.
You can't pull that off in 8 minutes, man. But anyway, decent episode of Raw here. More drops than we normally give it, but it was 9 pops to 5 drops. So we are going to go ahead and absolutely pop this one. Looking forward to SmackDown later this week. We'll have a video out per usual on Thursday. Let's get this week going. Follow us on all of our socials at COD WrestlePod, COD WrestlePod. Listen to us wherever you get your podcasts at YouTube, Spotify, Apple, etc. If you want to come talk to us, we got a Discord in our link tree in our bio. It's got all of our socials. Go ahead and follow all of it. Comment on our stuff. Subscribe on our stuff. Get the conversation going. We love hearing from you guys. I'm Will. That's Brandon. We are the Cousins of Destruction Wrestling Podcast. We will see you next time.